Welcome back, everybody. My name is Taylor Martin. This is the best Damn EDC, and today I would like to revisit a series that I've been doing on the channel for about a year now, and that is the budget series. In the past, I've done $50, $100, $250, $500, but this time I wanted to pick $150 as the budget for this carry. I also wanted to revisit older budgets, and maybe I'll do that in the future, but for this one, $150 felt like the right price range. I don't really know why, but it did. But before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor for this video, Surfshark VPN. When you're researching a new product, maybe it's a new knife for your carry or a new watch, when you later open another web page, it doesn't really matter what it is, you might see another ad for that same product, or you're browsing Facebook, you'll see an ad for a similar product right in your feed. Using Surfshark VPN, you can stop websites from tracking you and selling targeted ads to you. And using Surfshark's HackLock ID, you'll get an alert if someone tries to break into your email. But one of my favorite features of Surfshark is being able to watch content that's not available in your area. So if you're tired of seeing this or not being able to binge that Netflix series that's unavailable in your country, you can simply just change the server location and watch all of the content that's been unavailable in your area or is only available in certain areas. So if you want to support this channel and get both protection and freedom online, click the link in the description down below and use coupon code TaylorMartin. It not only gives you 85% off the regular price, it also gives you 3 months of service totally free, and Surfshark has a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to try it out. So thank you again, Surfshark, for sponsoring this video. And this is the best $150 everyday carry that I could put together that works for me. And with that said, let's do the damn thing. So real quick, the way I went about this was I picked the budget, $150, and then I took my most recent EDC video and just swapped each item for a budget-friendly option that would fit within that budget. And then with that $150, I just kind of started with a baseline of what I wanted to spend on each item, but also I wanted to spend a little bit more on the wallet and maybe a little bit more on the pen, and I just wanted to make it a little more even rather than like save all the money up and then spend it all on the knife. So let's start with the wallet in this one, because I wanted to go super minimal. I also kind of stuck to a green theme here. They're not all the same shade of green. That's okay. I like green, so I went with green. And this is the Magpul DACA Micro wallet. So this is an uber minimal wallet. Maybe a little too minimal for some of you. It may even be a little too minimal for me. I heard it only holds about 3 cards, which is a bit of a problem because I have like 5, I think, that I normally carry. All right, so I got all of my cards in here except for one. I probably should have done a little more reading on this wallet before I pulled the trigger on it, but I was roped in by the OD green and the Magpul. I've never had a DACA wallet, but I've had a wallet that's a very similar material to this, and I like it. The one thing I did read is that the cards are a little bit difficult to get out, and that's not untrue. But I think it will stretch a little bit with some use, and it may be okay, maybe not, but it wasn't too terribly expensive. I think this was about $15. If you didn't want the green version, it is much, much cheaper. I think the black version's like $8, so it is a very affordable wallet. I just really liked the green, and I love how slim that is. I mean, just look how thin that is. And I actually don't use my cards a ton. I need my license when I'm asked for it, and I have my insurance card in here. I have a fishing license, which I could leave out and leave in my truck. And then I have 3 debit cards, and that's really all I carry. And most of the time, if it's available, I'll use Apple Pay and not even have to use my wallet. The only annoyance I think I would have with this is needing to pull out my ID if I buy something like beer or liquor, but I think this is a really neat wallet. I think it might be a little too minimal for some of you guys. If you do like this style, they have another wallet, just the everyday wallet, the DACA everyday wallet, and it's a little bit bigger, will hold more cards than this, but it is a little more expensive at about $20, $22, whereas this one was just $15. Next, let's talk multi-tool. I've actually owned several Gerber dimes. I've broken a few of them, but I think for the price, they're actually quite good. I can't remember exactly what I paid for this one. I think they're a little more expensive right now because some prices are up because we're in a pandemic. I found these as low as $12 or $15 at Walmart and Target, but on Amazon, I think this one is about $20. And I think that's the average price. I think that's what they normally run, but you can find them on sale. Of course, I picked up the green one. I've never had a green one. So let's get this one out of the packaging and see what it's about. If you're not familiar with the Gerber dime, it's probably the most similar tool out there to a Leatherman Squirt PS4, which I've talked about in recent videos. Oh my God, are you kidding? There we go. Struggle bus here. So if you're not familiar with the tool set on the Gerber Dime, most of your tools are on the outside. You have your main blade, which is a nice little sheep's foot blade with a little bit of belly, very small blade. You also have this package opener, I guess is what this technically would be. You have on this side a pair of scissors, which is a decent pair of scissors. I mean, this is about a $15, $20 tool, so you can't expect too terribly much out of it. You have a flathead / pry, and then you have a Phillips head with a tiny, tiny file. And this is where I think Leatherman kind of takes the win here in these small multi-tools. Gerber has put some very small tools in here, and they're functional. They're good, they work, but Leatherman sometimes has better tool sets or more usable tools, but they're also more expensive. The Leatherman Squirt PS4 is $35, almost $20 more than what you can find this one for. And of course right here is a bottle opener and a lanyard if you want to attach this to a keychain, or you have a little split ring there for that. And then of course on the inside you have your pliers. You have more of like a needle nose plier, regular pliers with some grip, and then some wire cutters. And that is all there is to it. And these are obviously spring loaded. I think it's a pretty fine tool for the price. It's very, very compact, fits really well in like a 5th pocket, or if you want to put it on your keychain, you can. I've always just kind of kept them in my pocket. Biggest things for me are going to be the flathead, the scissors, and the pliers. That's why I would go with a multi-tool this size, but that is the Gerber Dime in green. Totally missed my hand. All right, next up is the pen. This is probably the one that most of you are gonna care the least about, but this is a Right in the Rain pen. I've actually never owned one of these. Of course, kind of selected this one because it's green, but they are, from my understanding, not bad pens. It is a click pen, which you wouldn't expect by looking at it. It looks more like a twist, but it is a click pen, and it uses pretty much the exact same refill as a Fisher Space pen. So if you've ever used one of those, you know it's probably not the smoothest or best writing experience, but it works in any conditions. Just like a Fisher Space pen, you can write upside down, underwater, in space, you can write anywhere, and that's because the refill is pressurized, which makes it able to write in any condition, extreme temperatures, rain, whatever, you can still write. I've always gone back and forth on whether I like or dislike Fisher Space Pen bullets. This is sort of the same thing with a little bit better pocket retention because it has a clip. And of course, it comes in OD green, which I'm a huge fan of. This pen, very similarly priced to the Fisher Space Pen bullet, was $16.95, so about $17. So it's still affordable. If you lose it, it's not the worst thing in the world to have to replace. But of course, a lot of you are of the mindset that if you are gonna carry a pen, you're gonna carry something that is much cheaper, much more easy to replace, like a Pilot G2 or whatever. I tend to like slightly nicer pens because I keep up with them a little better. And I don't know, this is probably one that I'll throw in the center console of my truck after this, but anyway, it's good to have a pen that will write in any condition. Next, let's talk flashlight. I've not talked about this brand in a very long time, and since I last talked about them, they have come out with a multitude of new models and updates and you name it. But this is Rovivon. They've really come a long way in what they have to offer. They have a lot of newer EDC stuff that's not specifically just flashlights, but they also have a lot of updated flashlight models, and specifically the Rovivon A1. So this is the Rovivon Aurora A1X, which is the updated version of the Rovivon Aurora A1 that I made a video about probably, I don't know, probably a year and a half ago. They've just made some upgrades to it. So your maximum output is 660 lumens. They do now come with a Nichia LED. This one is Cree, which means it has a higher output. I do wish this green one on Amazon would have come with Nichia. It does not have the Nichia LED in it, which is unfortunate. It's a much better beam. I love those LEDs. These Cree LEDs are okay, but you can see here, maybe you can see it. It might be a little too bright. Let's turn it on low. There's like this yellow fringe around the middle. So you've got this hot spot in the middle beam, and then there's a yellow fringe. You may not be able to see it on video, but that is just one of the unfortunate things about this. But this is an updated version of the A1 that I talked about before. So you have all the same stuff. You have USB recharging. You have a push button on the side here, a reversible pocket clip, and a lanyard hole. I'm sure it has all the same water resistance and everything, but the one thing that they fixed, thankfully, is the UI. So they introduced an UI when they introduced the side light version of the Rovivon. I think that was the A8. This now has a smaller button, so it's a round button instead of that oval, and you can hold and press to get to turbo, which is nice, and then to get the light on, you double press and it goes to this low mode, and I don't think that's the lowest mode. but click and it takes you up a notch. Click, it's the highest, and you click again, that's the actual low mode. So they did change the UI, but why not just make that instant on the lowest mode? I don't know why the first mode is not the lowest. And personally, if it were me making this flashlight, I would make this turbo quick access. I would make that moonlight quick access and then like a click and a hold to get to turbo. I need moonlight so much more than I need turbo, but I'm sure some people would disagree, and quick access to turbo is something that a lot of people probably want. Regardless, I think that is a much better UI than what they had in the past. The first Rovivon I bought was like a half-second hold to turn on, which was really unnerving. I did not like that. Still, this is a phenomenal flashlight for just $26, $27. I really do wish I had the Nichia in this green version, which I'm sure they offer on their website, but I got this from Amazon because quick turnaround times on shipping, but still a really great flashlight for the money. Now, this is probably one of the items in my carry that people are gonna be the most torn over. Most of you probably are like, I would just not get a watch. And I hear you, I understand fully. I almost just said no watch in this carry, but I also wanted a Casio World Time. This is just kind of like one of those cult classics. People love this, the watch lovers out there. A lot of them love the Casio World Time. I think it's a great looking watch, especially for the price. You can see $28.92 is what I paid for it, which for $28.92 with this steel bracelet, it's really a fantastic watch. Now, mind you, the bracelet on this thing, not so good, but it at least looks all right, right? Like, it's not the best thing ever. I mean, listen, the acoustics are not so great. It sounds horrible, and there is not a lot of play in these links. Like, just for example, this is the Laurier Neptune that I talked about in my EDC update. This is what a good bracelet looks and feels like. It's not super rattly or tinny, and it has a lot of play in these links. Like, look at that. Lots of play. This does not have lots of play. However, when you put it on, a lot of that rattling goes away, especially if you size it correctly. It still rattles a little bit, but it's not as rattly. And it doesn't feel bad. It's not really pulling my hairs, and it looks fine. It is extremely lightweight. It almost feels like I have nothing on my wrist, and if it weren't for that subtle jingle, I would probably forget I had it on. But for $28, $29, $30, you're probably gonna pay $30, $35 on Amazon. This is a phenomenal little watch. It looks great. It's got some serious retro vibes. It kind of throws me back to like the 90s. Probably more of an 80s styling, but it would have been the 90s that I owned one because I wasn't born until the 90s. But you have a lot of features here. You get a stopwatch, you get illumination, you have multiple time zone tracking, 100-meter water resistance, a 10-year battery, and just this cool little retro vibe. I think this is a really neat watch. And in all of the budget videos that I've done, the Casio Duro, I think was the $250 budget that I got the Casio Duro, and that's probably the best budget watch, period. But I think this one is a close second. I think it's still a really cool watch for the money. But if you want to spend a little more than this, I'd say go with the Casio Duro. If you want something dive style, if you want something more field style, I'd go Timex Expedition. Really, under 50 bucks, there's a lot of options. But this is just one that I've wanted for my personal collection for a while. So I made it work for this video, and I think it's a cool little timepiece. Okay, you guys, I know you guys have wanted this all along. This is what many of you have come for, because for whatever reason, knives are like the backbone of EDC. For the knife this time, I wanted to go with a brand I've not tried, and also a brand that I didn't use in the past. So I've used Civivi, I got the Elementum for one of the videos, I got a steel wheel cut jack for one of the videos, and I got an Ontario Rat for one, and a Ferrum Forge Falcon. So this time I wanted to go with a brand that was not one of those, and honestly, I did not want to go with a Tenacious. A Spyderco Tenacious is just such a generic answer for budget videos. Personally, I think it's a little overpriced in the current market. It's just not been updated, and there are much better options under $50, and this is one of those. This is a fantastic value, and it's from another company that you guys are probably very familiar with, Artisan Cutlery. This is their budget brand. I've never had anything from CJRB. I don't know what CJRB stands for, but I have one right here, and this one, I was torn. I went back and forth between a couple of different models, but the Feldspar. It's one that people talk about a ton. It's a nice size. and it was the right price. It was 36 bucks. So it's really hard to argue with that price for a number of reasons. This is a D2 steel. It's a knife on bearings. It's a liner lock with a reversible pocket clip that is very deep carry, and it has Jade G10 scales. I think it's just a really good looking knife. It's got really good ergonomics. Feels really good in the hand. I'm not entirely sure if this is supposed to be a finger choil. I think it's probably just a sharpening choil, but it's just wide enough to where you could use it for that if you wanted to, and you're very careful not to slip forward and cut your hand. But you've got dual thumb studs. I think it's a really good value for 36 bucks. It'd be hard to beat this knife. They've really come a long way. There's no blade play whatsoever. The action is really snappy, really good, fall shutty, fantastic quality. And I'm actually seeing this though. One thing to note, there is a little chip or roll right here. I don't know if you may not be able to see that on camera, but there is just a little bit of a roll, and it just based on where that is, it looks, actually I can see, probably not gonna be able to see this. There's a little bit of a gash on the standoff there. So this is hitting that when it closes, and I'm not sure, it's actually not touching that standoff at all. So I don't know if something wasn't seated properly. Yeah, it's not touching that standoff at all. So it may have just been slammed shut too hard, or maybe the stop pin wasn't seated correctly. I had that happen with a Hinderer, where the stop pin, when I put it back together, or actually it came like that. I bought it secondary and it came like that. They didn't seat the stop pin correctly, and the blade kept hitting the back spacers, but that doesn't look to be an issue, honestly. It looks like there is plenty of clearance there, and I'm not able to push that blade any. So I think it may have just been an issue with that stop pin. It may have just seated itself after. If I just touched up that blade a little bit, I don't think it would happen again. But if it did, obviously, I'd send it back, get a replacement, and be done with it. But if I got two of them with that issue, obviously that's a problem. But I don't think it is. I mean, I can look at this, and it's not touching at all. Assuming that all of them don't do that, this is a ridiculous value. For $27, you're getting a thumb stud liner lock on bearings with a deep carry clip with Jade G10 scales. Like, I think this is a ridiculous value. I mean, zero blade play, really good action. I mean, it's hard to beat that. And assuming that each one of these doesn't have that same issue, I think this is a really good contender for best knife under 50 bucks. I'm really liking the way it feels in the hand. It's just really, it's a good size. I'm really digging this. And again, this is the CJRB Feldspar. And of course, stay tuned in the Discord or over on Instagram if you want to know whether or not this is an issue that I get either after I touch up this blade or after I get it replaced. So here we have all of this carry in one single shot. I think I did pretty good for $150. We've got a Rovivon Aurora A1X flashlight, a Gerber dime, a Right in the Rain pin, a CJRB Feldspar, a Magpul Daka micro wallet, and a Casio World Time for just $150. I think this is a really great carry. You've got this green theme going on with a little vintage vibe to it. I'm a fan of this. Let me know how you think I did in the comments down below and what you would do differently. Would you swap out the Gerber dime, not get the watch, get a different knife? Let me know what you would do differently in the comments down below. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you found it helpful and you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that thumbs up button down below and subscribe to see more stuff like this in the future, and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload new videos. If you want to support what I'm doing here and want to purchase anything you saw in this video, it's all gonna be linked down below. And if you purchase anything using those links, those are affiliate links, and I'll get a little bit of a kickback, but it won't cost you anything extra. You can also support by going to carrycommission.com or carry.best to buy gear and merch directly from me, or you can go to patreon.com/bestdamnedc, and be sure to follow us around the web. You can find us most places at Best Damn EDC, but also there's a Facebook group and a Discord server. They're linked down below. You can click through those links and request to join in those places. But with that said, and until next time, carry on.